Chapters 22, 23, and 24 of Shri Krishna, the Lord of Love, by Baba Premanand Bharati. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 22. When the summer was over, one day Krishna saw that great preparations were being made for the celebration of ceremonies in honor of one of the gods. Clothed in seeming ignorance, Krishna said to Nanda, "Why these preparations, O Father, and for whom are they made, and what is the potency thereof? Is it a custom that through all time hath been observed? Or tell me, do the scriptures demand that these ceremonies be held?" Then Nanda answering said, "We offer today sacrifices to him, the god of the clouds, to him who watereth our hillsides and giveth drink to our crops and our cattle, to him Indra, the god who promoteth all growth by the blessing of rain, which he doth supply. A jealous god is he, O my Krishna, and desires that ceremonials and sacrifices often are made, and we in all humbleness strive to appease him, that in his wrath he may not withhold the moisture from our land, nor yet flood us with overmuch rain." Then Krishna replied, "My father, he who is the author of all, doth give unto all what is needed. He that in wrath withholdeth a blessing, he never the love of creation hath known, nor doth he destroy what he hath created. For the Creator doth ever love his creation, for that which from him hath come must for ever belong to him, and the part is of his great whole. So Indra cannot curse this land by overmuch rain, or dearth of it. But, O my father, tell the Gopas and Gopis to cease the preparations and worship not one who would destroy that which he should for ever bless. But come to the hillside that entwines our land, the hills and plains that furnish us with sustenance for our cattle, and to the forest too, where fruits grow in plenty, and give of their abundance to all who but take it. Come there, and give to the hill and the trees our sacrifices of joy and love, and feed the cows with offerings of fresh grasses, and walk with me around the hill in ceremonial procession, and we shall see their worth and their kindness." They did so, and Krishna said unto them, "I am the hill, and the good that therefrom doth come." And his body became of a height and length that the eye of man scarce could measure, and said, "Do ye salute it, and partake of its good." At that the rain poured down from the skies in fearful abundance, and the people in fear fled to their houses, afraid of the wrath of Indra. 7 days it poured and threatened to flood all the land, but Krishna smiled at the wrath of Indra as he poured down his mighty rains, and rolled his thunder in threatening claps above the heads of the affrighted people who had dared to neglect the sacrifices to him who through all ages had been honored by them. In their calamity the people sought out Krishna, whom they found at the foot of the hill Govardhana. The light of his body lit the darkness of night, far more than the flashes of Indra's wrath that in lightning burst forth. "O Krishna," they cried, "thou who by thy yoga power can assume the form of a mountain at will, thou who dost drive from the path of thy feet all that unlike thy sweet will is, save us from the wrath of him who even now does seek to drive us from out of life." And Krishna lifted his hand and eye, and lo, all their fear was allayed. Then all the world grew light as day from the glory that radiated from his body, and by his yoga power he lifted the hill itself from off its base, and held it on high on the tip of his 5th finger, even as the beetle doth hold on his horns the leaf that covereth him completely. The people gathered beneath the hill with their children and cattle. 7 days they were there, and 7 days Krishna held the hill above their heads, while the light that came from his smile illuminated all the space between the hill and its foundation. Then Indra, amazed, looked down from his clouds and knew that the Lord of all was there, and had baffled his attempt to destroy what he, the Lord of all love, had created. and the rain ceased its downpouring, and the rivers became calm, and the sun in its glory burst forth again, and flowers uplifted their water-drenched heads, and the trees sprang back, storm-tossed no more. And Krishna said to those whom he had sheltered, "Depart in peace, and fear no more the wrath of him who thought to destroy where he could not give life." And Indra, the god of the clouds, descended to earth, and falling at the feet of him in abject humility, said, "O Lord, thou art the Holy One. Puffed up and proud was I in my power, and saw myself greater even than thou. Well know I now that love is the greatest power, and I, in my smallness of godship, insolent and destructive became. I sought the praise that is ever due to thee, O Lord of love, for unto resistless love alone praise should be given. But my vanity and pride I tried to shield by the power which thou didst endow me with. I thought that it was I who brought the life to all trees, and by my power kept the hills in green, and the forests in wondrous foliage, and gave drinks to the cows, and plenty to the rivers, and for it I longed to see men perform the ceremonies and pray to me. But to thee, O Lord of love, is due all the glory. By thee alone am I invested with power. Do thou in thy greatness forgive me, while I in humbleness do bow to thy lotus feet." And Krishna threw a glance at Indra that filled him with a great wild joy, and said, "O Indra, though I invested thee with sovereignty by my will, be not over full of pride. For this I have stopped the ceremony, so that thou mayest learn to know me, whom thou in thy prosperity hadst quite forgotten. Go to thy abode, Indra, rule thy dominion, but know ever that pride and vanity are without power, and that love alone is mighty. To lighten the burdens of all my world, I have come to earth. I now lift from thee the load which hath caused thee to forget me, and in forgetting me to have lost the beauty which was born of me." And with the halo of joy about him, Indra returned to his abode, endowed with greater power. Chapter 23. And now autumn, sweetest and richest season of all the glad year, had come, and the brow of Vrindavan was fair to look upon. The first part of the Indian autumn, which comes after the rainy season, peace and love stood on every threshold and walked on every roadway, and all lifted up their voices, and the words of their gladness was, "Love, love." In the hearts of all the song rose, and showed them pleasant ways and haunts that ended in bliss. Men knew gratitude and justice, which are the attributes of love. Love walked on earth and left its blessing in its trail. The flowers whispered their love to one another, and the dew clung closer to their petals because of the warmth of their love. All the land seemed to have ripened into the deepest beauty, for the beauty of love here was king. And Krishna was king, and reigned in every heart, and all bowed before the majesty of the beauty of his love. A substitute it was for all things, and satisfied the want of each heart, entrancing every object and person by its beauty. O wonder of love that expanded each soul and made it a world of joy and bliss! In this happy time, when the moon was full, Krishna recalled a promise he had made to the gopis to reward them richly for their love for him. So taking his flute, he went to the forest and stood on the brow of the hill. All about the white moonlight lay, bathing in silver the fruit trees in blossom. Soft the winds were, and rich the fragrance that they brought on their breezes. The noises of night alone could be heard. And surveying his world with love-filled eyes, Krishna took up his flute and poured forth the strains that never were heard by man or god until that night on the moon-kissed hill, when all Vrindavan in peace did smile. At the sound of those strains, all earth was thrilled in ecstasy. The rocks melted in love, the trees trembled, and the flowers fell on the earth, and men and beasts all pain forgot. And the gopis knew that call of love, nor heeded they duties or father or husband or children, but turning their heart to the sound of the flute, they followed their heart to Krishna's feet. At the first note, she who was feeding her household dropped her food and followed the sound, and she who was nursing her babe put her babe from her breast, and answered the call. Another came with toilet incomplete. All forsook duties, husband and children, to find him who drew them by the sound that was made by his love. Separately they came, none observing the other. Over thorns and briars and stones they walked. Sharp twigs caught their hair branches detained them, yet heeded they not these obstacles, but onward they went with hands torn and feet bleeding and garments rent and missing, till they stood at the hill where Shri Krishna played and drew from the flute the music entrancing, at which all the rocks and earth did thrill. With eyes maddened with love they gazed on him there. A wondrous vision was he. The light of the noonday radiated from him, and his beautiful eyes with mysterious glances fell on their souls like holy balm. And at that glance their souls were entranced and deepened and became as if one with him, and drank of the love that from him poured, and all that in them unlike him was became as pure as he. And that which in them unlike that love was, from out of their hearts had flown, and made pure and transparent in that glad place, they drank of that love which doth chain all creation to its Creator, love. Entirely blessed, they sought no more, nor hoped they more, for each held perfection in her eyes, and each knew perfect love in her heart. Chapter 24. Silent they stood and gazed on the beauty, concentrated love of a world in each eye. A spiritual force that swept from its path all matter was theirs, as they beheld that center to which their hearts did gravitate. The strains of the flute that made the heaven to bend to the earth, that brought the stars closer to the hillsides, and drew the gods from their abodes of light, had ceased, and the voice of him that was all love fell on the ears of the gopis in sound as sweet as the flute's dear strains. O gopis mine, maids of Braya, my peace and greeting be with you all. But why are ye here, one and all? Tell me this. The hour is late, and your homes at a distance are, and the forests are dark, and wild beasts are in plenty, and alone ye have come, without husband or father. What is it, pray tell me, that brings you here? Is it love for me that brings you here? I draw all to myself, and all love me. But, O gopis dear, the scriptures ever have said that the chaste woman leaveth not her husband, father, and babe, to look on the face of a youth. Pure are your hearts, I know, but it is not good that ye come to me, and it looseneth your chances to reach that place where all of your hearts do long to dwell, when to your bodies ye have said farewell. Perhaps ye have come to see the forest, silvered by the autumn full moon, or mayhap to greet the breezes that come from the hillsides, or the blossoms of the trees that grace its sides to behold. If this be so, now ye have seen them, depart to your homes, lest the hearts of your friends be alarmed at your absence. The bevy of women that crowded about him grew pale with pain and ashen with fear. Tears came to their eyes and anxiety to their souls as they heard the words of him who was all in all to them, till one, more brave than the rest, broke forth. O Lord, for the Master of love art thou, send us not away from thy side. All have we left to serve thee, our Master. Husbands have we, and fathers and brothers, but to thee alone we belong. They are but the keepers of our earthly bodies. Thou art the custodian of our souls. Our souls are thine, for thou art the soul from which we came, and panting we come to find again the home wherein to rest. Difficult art thou to find, O Lord, and now we have found thee. O thrust us not from thy lotus feet, we who find our joy and happiness in thee. Thy flute hath drawn us from our homes. O suffer us to remain with thee and know thee as thou art. Unable are we to live without thy love, O Lord, and our duties of home cannot engage us, since our minds are ever contemplating thee. If thou sendest us away, we shall die. Be thou kind to us, thy servants, and grant us to serve thee with our love. Then singing into their midst he came, he the Lord of the highest, the Lord of love, and Lord of the lowest, and Lord of mercy, and with mighty love swayed he all alike, and each self was forgotten, and love alone was. Now singing in chorus, now dancing, now skipping, the Lord and his maidens in those forest groves roamed till the river was reached. Then from over much pleasure proud each maid became, and her simple joy to vanity was turned, because thus she was favored by Krishna, the youth Krishna, the heavenly one Krishna, the glorious of all glorious ones. He, noting this, to punish the sin of vanity, in swiftness from them vanished, and with his going the sin was gone. Maddened by love, the maids pleaded to the skies and the trees and the flowers for him, who was their life, but still he came not. So absorbed in him they became, themselves they forgot, and even as Krishna they thought they were, and imitating his acts they cried to one another, Lo, I am Krishna, see, I hold the mountains on high. Lo, Putana, I slay and baffle the rage of Indra with my power, and still came he not. Then they sang his praises, then with breaking hearts they wailed and prayed for him to return to their midst. At this he came, for ever is the Lord most kind to the lowly and sorrowing. And he soothed their grief and brought light to their hearts, and forming a circle about him in ecstasy they danced. And now he, that was the king of the upper world, and of all the earth, of the plants and oceans and clustering stars, he, the Lord of all might and yoga power, himself divided into many Krishnas, and each gopi thought she herself danced alone with the glorious one that as Krishna was known. And the dance began lightly, then matter became, and he who had come on earth to teach man love manifested himself in every maid that lightly and rarely stepped at his side as they danced in that grove on that wondrous night. And the lotus blossoms wept tears of nectar on seeing the dance, and birds and bees from unknown trees and flowers came forth and whirled round and round the heads of the dancing ones. And the heavens showered blossoms rare, and the gods who had stolen from their abode to watch the feast of love that Krishna gave to the lovely milkmaids, lo, senseless became at the first sight of that revel of bliss. And night throbbed and panted and forgot to draw its curtain to let day in, but lengthened into eons. The veil from every gopi's eye was drawn, and they gazed into the ocean of active spirituality, and spiritual became, and all sin that were theirs no more was there. And in that mighty dance a flood of spirituality went forth that took from the heart of men and the bosom of earth the sins with which they were burdened withal, and men's hearts were won by the force of that love, and were led to the door of that sacred abode where only the loving may go. And the gopis, who by force were detained and could not come to the dance with Krishna, lo, in meditation sat, and in deep pain concentrated on him, and in that dance they were at his side, and felt his love embrace, and all their sins were as naught. For to touch Krishna with the mind alone was to gain spirituality and stand pure in his eyes. So in those hours of intensest happiness the world gained what for births it had striven to gain, and active love was ripe among mortals, and that love had wiped all sin away. And when the last ray of the moon was seen, into the waters of the laughing river they plunged, and ere the sun with ardent eye did awaken the sleeping Brindaban, each maiden singing homeward went, transformed into a being of unalloyed love. End of chapter 24.